Welcome to Build Out Brief. This is Jim Kunkel, and I so appreciate your support of the Build Out live stream that broadcasts each Wednesday at noon Eastern Daylight Time. The live stream that you're watching right now will be starting in just 1 minute. Let me take this opportunity to talk about Build Out Brief. This content series is a result of viewers like you who overwhelmingly requested that I add a supplemental series to Build Out that centers on professional business topics, is more focused, and global on guests. If you're thinking about starting a live stream, then StreamYard is a platform for you. It's what I use to build you Build Out Brief. After the stream, see the comment or the description section for my special savings referral link. Now, when it comes to having a professional live stream and winning over viewers, you need to make sure that your graphics and supporting promotional items are the best. All of the creative content for Build Out and Build Out Brief are designed and produced with Canva. You should check out Canva. See the comment or description section for my special Canva referral link. Hey, welcome to Build Out Brief. I'm Jim Kunkel, and joining me today, let's start off with MJ Calloway. MJ, welcome.
Hey, Jim. Great to be here.
It's great to have you. And Carl Davenport. Welcome, Carl.
Yeah, great to be here and with everyone.
Hey, Gabay. Welcome.
Hey, folks. Thank you so much for having us. Looking forward to a really great conversation.
Excellent. And Russ Johns, welcome.
Yeah, humbled to be here and looking forward to an amazing conversation.
Excellent, excellent. And Mike Lamont.
Happy evening, all.
Happy evening. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion on some of the projected predictions for 2022. It's a mouthful. I couldn't get it out there. It's hard to believe that 2021, we're literally into the end game here. And 2021 has been such an amazing year and a lot of things have happened. And it's kind of interesting to really look forward to 2022 and our hopes and dreams that everything will get better than ever before. So the first topic I wanted to focus on is what we're facing right now, which is really the new business reality. Let's call it post-pandemic. I know we have another variant out there. Hopefully we get a handle on that and get ready for the next one after that. But let's talk a little bit about what, in your opinion, what do you feel is the new reality? MJ, do you have an idea of what you think the new reality is going to look like?
Sure. So coming from my industry, so I am in the speaking industry, and conferences were just leveled whenever the pandemic hit. So going into 2021, we were doing a lot of virtual, and then we went to hybrid. So looking at a lot of the predictions for 2022, we will continue doing hybrid with a combination of in-person, but also with the opportunity for those who don't want to come in person to actually be able to attend the conference virtually. So it will be a combination of the two there. And then the technology will really be up-leveled in order to handle what the new reality will be, especially within the conference and the trade show industry. Which hits all of us when you think about it.
Yeah, I so agree with you. Probably a couple months ago, I did an interview with someone, and we were looking at what the trade show industry was really showing, and they saw the advantages of having this kind of blended online, virtual, and then also to the physical conference. In the area where they focus on is not just dealing with an emergency like a pandemic, but really looking at international travelers who it can be very expensive to travel. Let's say if it's a US based conference, it's a lot more easier for them to go online. And then the other thing is these conferences can actually generate a little bit more revenue. And the profitability with virtual events is so huge in comparison to having a physical event where you have to pay for the space, you have to pay for logistics, you have to pay for all the overhead and insurances and everything like that. So it's such a great advantage in doing a blended conference. Anyone else have any type of predictions, let's say, that you feel are going to potentially start to rise up in 2022 regarding business? Carl, you have anything that you can see coming down the horizon?
Well, I would remind everyone the book's been out for decades, but Who Moved My Cheese?
Uh-huh.
I don't think you want to be the mice looking around for the cheese to come back. It's gone. So, I think a lot of remote work and remote conferencing is here to stay. It is good to see conferences back. Maybe not as many people will be attending, but from a manufacturing operations, you're still going to have the warehouse. You have to make products and things of that nature. So it's good to see some of that coming back. But I think you just have to be on your toes and ready to embrace, let's say, part of the new normal. If that's remote work or conferencing, more things done remotely. There's a cornucopia of new stuff that's coming on the other topic. So I'm not going to jump ahead, but that's my perspective.
Anyone else have any business related projections when it comes to post-pandemic?
Sure. I'm going to talk a little bit different than what I usually talk about video, but more about it in like my friend David Wilson, who's watching, in the HR and the talent acquisition space, how they've had to change and adjust now how they approach doing acquiring people to come and either transition into new positions or even retainage of the talent that they already have because of a lot of what's happening with the great resignation and people taking the advantages and steps into going into entrepreneurship or taking advantages of a client-based market now where before it was a little bit more difficult. Now it's like the talent is the one that's controlling how you adjust to all this stuff here. So I think that's a big one for them. And you're going to see a lot of those people learn how to have to change and adjust how they go and acquire talent and bringing people into corporations now. It's going to be completely different than what we've had the last 10, 15 years. It's insane.
Yeah, I for a couple of things that I had related to the remote office and the digital transformation. The pandemic really forced a lot of industries and a lot of companies to get into that digital transformation mode, and so now we're starting to see more reliance on content online. The rise of live broadcasts like we're doing right now to really kind of get the information out there, to communicate and to share a lot of knowledge and other type of information. But the thing that I found interesting was that companies were very adaptable. So we were put in a situation where we need to shut down, and companies were very quick to make that adjustment. I didn't really see, at least let's say in my network of friends, I didn't hear any companies tripping up to the point where it almost incapacitated them. It was a little bit of disruptions. And then, currently some of the things that we're dealing with right now, I think when it comes to how people, the patterns when it comes to project work, or if they're purchasing and things like that, we're starting to see a lot of changes on how things are procured and then how business is done as well. But it seems to be moving in a good direction. We just need to figure out how to free up all the supply chain issues. And then obviously we've got to tackle inflation. That's a huge upcoming burden ahead of us. So anyone else on the topic?
Yeah, Jim, I think you're right. And Gabe also pointed out that it's an interesting time because I think the employees largely are going to dictate the future of how professional jobs are staffed, how they work, how what their office situation's like. Is it going to be a combination of remote and in person? And I think it's an interesting time because employers have to really pay attention to this, because if they're not careful and they're not proactive, what they will see is their best talent will leave, and then they will be stuck with, maybe not the top talent. So they're going to have to pay careful attention to the market as well to be competitive.
Good point. Good point.
Definitely.
The next prediction that I had took a look at was regarding, and I don't know if you on here on the panel are familiar with ESG scores. So this deals with the environmental, social, and governance scores. Back in 2020, I started to hear about these ESGs. They sound like they were moving through Europe, and in 2021, I started to hear that there are people looking at how companies, when it comes to their environmental position, what type of programs they have when it comes to climate change or how they deal with green energy and carbon neutral and things like that, but then also a social score. And then governance, what it typically covers in governance is, do they have a diversity of leadership? Are they male top heavy in the organization, or do they have kind of a diverse leadership? So a lot of these ESGs are looking to move into the future where you're going to be rated based off of your ESG, and then that gives you the availability to capital markets. If also too, when it comes to people saying, hey, you should do business with these people because they have a good ESG score. What do you think? And let me just ask an open question. What do you think if we rate people more not on, let's say, the typical stuff which would be credit worthiness and things like that, but we're rating them on their environmental, their social, and then obviously when it comes to governance? What do you think about rating companies and individuals that way?
Ooh, that's a good one, because I think that is one of the first things that I look at, is like looking at sustainability and how a lot of these companies approach and are proactive, right, in the way that they do this, because I think that's the key for a lot of these businesses going forward, is to remain proactive in how they actually go out there and approach exactly what you explained, because I think these are the things that consumers are looking for more and more. In wanting to do that. So looking at companies that like interactively have their own D&I departments in helping, kind of spread that of diversity and inclusion, because it's a big thing. It's a big thing in a lot of companies now. They actually have their own department heads who control and teach and do training targeted towards diversity and inclusion. So I think that's a huge one. And I think that's a good way to kind of break the trend of hey, we're going to rate you off your credit scores and how you do. I think because if we're just looking at money, of course, I mean, history's taught us money isn't going to equate to anything. Just how, again, that's how like a lot of the companies here in the States here built up, like the Rockefellers and all this stuff, off the backs of people, and why unions were created and why things like that. So bucking those trends, I think that's a good thing going forward.
That's a good point. Mike, I see you smiling down in the corner.
Wow, that was well said.
Very.
And so consumers are more educated than they've ever been, right? And that's an important consideration. And as consumers become more educated, boy, businesses have to step up and sell themselves better to the consumer. And I always say that everyone's a salesperson. Even if you're not a salesperson, you're a salesperson. And the real effective companies are going to really be able to leverage the things they're already doing and demonstrate their plans. They should have a 5-year, a 10-year plan that they can produce for a consumer to say, look, here's what our environmental footprint is today. Here's what it's going to be 5 years from now. And those types of things, I think, really resonate with the consumer. So that's not a nice to have. It's almost you have to have that now. I mean, just because consumers are demanding it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead, MJ. I'm sorry.
And springing off educating, we are, as consumers, we're more educated. One of the things when I was looking up the ESG trends is that the greenwashing that has happened in the past, that is going to recede because consumers are, more aware of companies that are trying to do the greenwashing. And two of the trends that they said to look for is, one, the lessons we've learned from the pandemic. So think of everything we have, endured and what we have learned. And the other one, going back to what Gabe said, was the environment. There's a push on how our planet is producing energy. So those, they're current trends. It's things we also need to think about for future generations. So that education, I think it's going to make a difference on what companies do and the people who are investing in the companies, what they are looking for.
And all this ties into the Climate 26 agreement. The only thing I throw out there are a lot of companies globally who say we have a strong environmental stance and this is our position, but they acquire materials, raw materials, and products from countries that have a very poor, if not suspect, environmental record. And so I think if it's going to work, and this is the only position I would have, it has to be fair across the board. You just can't have companies saying that they're green, but what they're doing is they're acquiring products and materials from, let's say, countries or other companies that are really not environmentally sound, who would never score high on this ESG.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. And I'd just like to point out that moving pollution to another country does not make you green. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of folks kind of in the US have seen over the years, is that we've cut down emissions here domestically, but understand we have some of the world's most stringent environmental regulations, safety regulations. And when you're controlling 98, 95% of a air emission, and you move the manufacturing to a country that controls 0, what are we doing? So I think that's, the onus is on the consumer to go, wait a minute, where is this good manufactured, and what type of pollution control devices and effectiveness are you using there? Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
Yeah, the solution to pollution is dilution. That's was a trend in the industry for years. I'm not ready to comment on the ESG scores, but I think, Jim, maybe you brought it up. There's a lot of virtue signaling on companies. There's crazy stuff like going back to paper bottles where, producing the paper generates more, is worse for the economy than plastics. But rather than dwell on that, there are definitely trends, global trends, that are not going to be stopped. And from the context of the things that your company, the products that you're offering, improvements in your operations, there are things within those global trends that you can definitely embrace. And some of those products are going to be better for the environment. There's things that are going on that can enhance training, enhance your operation, maybe even improve your productivity. There's a report out today that productivity might be sliding too. So I think the ESG numbers are here to stay. There's a lot of other metrics that can be deployed, but focus on whether you agree with climate change or not is irrelevant. Focus on the things within that that are positive as it regards your product, the environment, and your company's profitability.
Very good. Very good.
I wanted to add that, and Carl, thanks for saying that, but I wanted to allude to something that Mike said earlier about, companies need to start looking at the next decade or the next few decades rather than the next quarter. And that's one of the ways that we're going to be able to transition into a friendlier global economy and not necessarily solve a problem overnight, which was not created overnight. And we're going to run into a lot of issues and a lot of reservations about implementing some of these programs, just like we've seen in history with other, any number of programs. There's going to be resistance. And so anything that we can do to drive the evolution of the workforce, the evolution of the company, and the education of the consumers, because it's so it's universal. All of these things are happening at once, and we all have to work together to make it productive in the long run.
Yeah, for me, it's being truthful. For example, you hear an argument: go buy an electric car, buy the electric car. But when you really look at the production that goes into it, and then also too, when you're dealing with the lithium batteries, there's a lot of environmental impact that goes into an electric car. Yeah, it sounds like it's really environmentally friendly, but when you really go and you look into it, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So we need to be truthful when we tell people, hey, get rid of the gas car, get the electric car. people need to be aware that there is a major impact environmentally, but with electric cars, we're not there yet. We will get there one day. It's just that I think the whole aspect of the way it's packaged and everything, it could be very misleading, and people really feel like they're doing something great, but they don't know the full truth. That's my only position on a lot of these environmental scores and things.
And it's really hard to forklift the planet into a new environment.
Yeah. Well, now they're talking about, you're looking at the asteroid belt. If we start, with all the, commercialized rockets and things like that, maybe we do within 15, 20 years get off the planet and we start utilizing an asteroid belt that's full of minerals and materials and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see where things go beyond 2022, but we got to get through 2022 first.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's go move into the next one, and the next topic is going to be the seamless cross-channel customer experiences. I don't know what all of you, but when I've dealt with customer service or I've tried to inquire and maybe buy products, man, it seems like it's so much easier now. People would say, well, maybe it's because people aren't buying, you're not getting that type of but I really think that with the rise of the AI within a lot of these companies, and I'm not talking about basic chatbots, these things are very intelligent. And I think obviously you've got the pioneers out there like Amazon and a lot of these other type of online retailers. When it comes to that customer experience, I think we have seen an improvement really since 2019.
Yeah. I think like you're talking right. So right now, using those technologies like AI, and then also kind of using what we started with during the pandemic with a lot of remote work, you're starting to see a lot of instead of having these huge call centers, right, where people would have to call, they're using a lot of remote workers to handle a lot of these workloads, so people can actually, you're actually sometimes able to get a person on the phone to maybe help you troubleshoot a problem, to kind of solve a problem or whatever, because they're allowing it a lot more. So it's no longer that we got to have our centralized location here in California. We have now agents spread all over the world who can kind of help process whatever you're looking for any time of the day. And I think that's what they want to shoot for, is the convenience factor, because I think that's what people really, really look for, is like, what is easier for me as a consumer? That's usually what I go for, at least in my own opinion.
Yeah, I really think with the AI can handle a lot of the easier things, which for me is okay. But when I really need to talk to somebody, I'm talking about when I have a serious challenge or issue, I want to be able to talk to somebody and not have to be your 50th in line and they play that terrible hold music. It just seems like that for me, in my experience recently in the last, let's say, year and a half, I have not encountered a lot of that type of aggressive hold times and things like that. It seems like when I want to get somebody relatively, I get there in a relatively short period of time.
Mm-hmm. I'm like just the opposite.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, from Jim, I would rather not get on the phone and have a phone call. If I can open up a chat box,
there you go,
and get answers, just let me do that, because I can multitask while I'm waiting for an answer. And I just want to point this out also, is that we've had automation, we've had levels of AI, and you go back to the grocery stores that have trained us that there's no longer people taking our groceries out to the car. It's self-checkout. And now we have McDonald's that are, you can go in the kiosk and pick out what you want and walk up to the counter and get what you need. We see it in other organizations, and it's more prevalent. And I think that the side benefit or the potential benefit of that in an organization is the people that want the extra attention, that need the extra attention, have the resources available, because some of the people like myself, that I'll just go to the self-checkout and do my thing and out the door, and other people would prefer a more personalized service experience. And I think offering both sides of that equation in a lot of organizations, it will benefit everyone in the long run if done correctly.
And that goes back to customer expectations. So what's your expectation when it comes to customer service? And if the company is not giving you that expectation you want, you'll leave. And Salesforce just released a couple months ago, they released a report that said 76% of customers, if their expectations are not matched, they will leave. They don't have any issue whatsoever of finding a new brand.
Right.
So it goes back to expectations. Are we meeting expectations?
Yeah,
How many
there's a lot-
organizations have we seen fail as a result in the last decade
Yes.
of missed expectations from customers?
It's so true. There's a lot of competition out there, so you have to be on your A game all the time.
I would throw in, I don't know if this is the right, under the right topic, but there are massive supply chain disruptions within chemicals and coatings industries. So, beyond the context of, and I agree, there's some stores where I'll do the self-checkout and some where I don't. But I think there's going to be a lot of reshoring in 2022 on a massive scale. The numbers I heard are in hundreds of billions of dollars, and that might even hit the local store. People are very tired of the disruption. That could be leading to some of the drop in productivity that we see.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a huge emphasis on that in 2022 and even beyond, because some things to be reshored are going to take more than a year.
Yeah, I mean, recently, in the industry you work in, Carl, which in the coatings industry, you had announcements of resin factories that are going to be built in Texas. That was all offshored and brought in. Now you're starting to see a lot of the raw materials that go in a lot of our products be, like you said, reshored versus it coming from Asia Pacific, or let's say specifically China. And so this is probably the best opportunity to do that because of the supply chain. A friend of mine got into long haul, driving, basically driving a truck. And for him, everything's precision timed, where, if he's coming from the West Coast, hits Indiana, a lot of distribution centers, he rolls in, they load up what's left of the truck, and then he rolls east. He was telling me, and sometimes it was even more recently, some months ago, where there was times where he'd have to hang out an extra day and a half, 2 days, because first off, the materials weren't quite there yet. The second thing is the labor shortage problem with loading the trucks and everything like that for the warehouses. So it's just amazing to see how much the impact of the global pandemic was, but then also too that we're still struggling to get out from underneath of all this, and we might not ever become exactly whole again like we were prior. It's just it's a big challenge.
There's a looming problem, and it's not going to be solved in 2022, but in the next decade or so, there's almost 50% of the workforce in the trades are going to be at the point where they are able to retire and exit the workforce. And there's a lot of companies there's not a lot of companies that have been sharing that information or discussing that information, to my knowledge. And I just know that that's a looming opportunity that a lot of people right now could or should be taking advantage of, is learning some skills that they don't typically have if they're unhappy with their current situation. There's a lot of opportunity out there to evolve into another trade.
Yeah, they're not replenishing the talent.
Yeah,
No.
That's going to be the big gap. And by the time they realize it,
it could be too late.
It is going to be too late.
It is going to
Yes.
be too late.
Because you're talking about a lot of these trades that actually have their tiers, right? So they have like they have like interdependents, they have journeymans, they have masters. A lot of those times it takes time and effort to build up into those. So if they're not actually kind of bringing that talent in, is a lot of that talent is exodus and out of the workforce, you're going to run into a huge gap and problem. And I think that's part of our problem here, is we're not a proactive society. We're a reactive society, and when we get to that point, that's when it'll be a problem, and that's when people will then start reacting and looking for solutions to kind of fill that gap.
Already there. It's time to. Right.
Exactly, right. So now we're struggling. Here we are.
When's the best time to plant a tree?
Yesterday.
Exactly.
So let's move on to our the final prediction that I had found, and this is something everyone on this broadcast right now, we're all content creators, and the majority of us here are broadcasters as well, is the digital information and content transformation that we've seen happen. And I'm not talking about going to remote office and Zoom meetings. I'm talking about there has been such an increase in content across different platforms. And a lot of it actually competes against what we would call the legacy media outlets. And then the other aspects is the live broadcast, LinkedIn Live. Gabe, you were talking, I think, yesterday on a stream you're on about the investment that LinkedIn made, or Microsoft or LinkedIn made to promote content creators. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So they actually, back in April, announced that they were going to invest in content creation, and especially organic content creation here on the platform. So they set aside $25 million. They went through an application process to go out and find 100 content creators, and they were going to give them a scholarship, or they were going to give them a grant to kind of create content. So it's a 10-week program that they're going to be doing, and they're giving these content creators $15,000 to create content, just content. Wow. I mean, and that if that doesn't tell you anything about what content is becoming and why it's so valuable in whatever field of business that you work in, you better open up your eyes, because it's coming down the pike faster than you realize. And you better be part of the beginning wave, or you're going to be playing catch up. And by that time, it's going to be a lot harder to get in a game for a lot of people who are going to do this and get established and building that authority in doing what it is. So that's why I keep pushing that now, that content is king. That's what I've been saying, and I'm going to keep resonating that message because of what it is. It's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about content being king, Russ, you're a very young man, but you started off, I believe, if I'm correct, how many years ago in podcasting?
I started out in podcasting in probably 2013.
Okay.
So nearly a decade now.
Yeah.
And I started in the advertising business in 85. So in and out of technology, podcasting, radio, television, advertising in this space and content creation for at least, a few decades. So I've seen it evolve. Yeah.
And to answer a question that David had there, I know 5 of them off the list. 5 of them I had an interview with. So I've had conversations with these individuals. So seeing that a lot of them have been entrenched here in the LinkedIn community, then I'm very thrilled to see what's going to come out of this, because I'm going to tell every single one of you here as a content creator, they're going to have a second wave. They're making a second investment into doing this. So perk your ears up, folks. If you have not, you should consider it. And go in, and it's a pretty easy process. You have to apply. You're going to have to submit a proposal, and just come up with a strategy of how you can create content here on LinkedIn that they feel is going to add value to the platform. I mean, who couldn't really work and do something in 10 weeks for $15,000 to sit there and create content and say, you know what, I can commit to this. And there's all the supplementals. Yeah, tell them.
Not only that, but the learning experience that exposes you to other creators that are doing something completely different. You see a new perspective, you see a new opportunity. And, a lot of us are creating content on the platform for no investment whatsoever of LinkedIn. So I'm glad to hear that they're putting some skin in the game on this, because,
Yes.
I've been creating content for years, and, it's usually to amplify and build authority or visibility in the market. And I think every business needs to start creating some form of content to allow their authority to be built, and, put a stake in the ground and say, I'm here, I'm willing, I'm able to help you. And so, like you said, Gabe, it's really important for us to get out there and get a strategic perspective on what it means and how we can put it in place and to get it moving forward.
Not to be a LinkedIn fanboy, but when I really started to see when they had purchased Linda Learning and made that into LinkedIn, the LinkedIn Learning and everything, to really see what they're looking to do. And Gabe has talked to some sources. I've talked to 2 sources so far, and they really want to go up against some of these other platforms and capture the user to stay longer on LinkedIn, but utilize it for content, sharing connection, sharing information, buying and selling, all these things to make it a very unique type of platform above and beyond from where it started originally. So it's a great opportunity. And the other thing too is it's good to have these multiple platforms. You don't want to have just a few controlling everything. Gabe, you had talked also too about what Amazon has done with their live streaming. It's absolutely, I've actually watched some of that. It's absolutely amazing to see what's going on. I'm going to bring up another questionnaire, I believe, from David. I want you to.
I will tell you. So, I mean, just off the top of my head, Jamal Marshall was one of them. Volta Voloskin Smith was another. Stephen A. Hart was another one. Miguel Olave was another one. There were Liam Darmody, who I've had these people on my show, so I've seen what their content is about and know who they are. And a lot of it is about. I think a lot of it is about the perspective of what they want from understanding LinkedIn. So follow the trends that they're doing with the LinkedIn learning courses, because they're posting them ad nauseum all the time, teaching you how to do video content creation, content creation. They're putting these out there all the time. If you're not looking into them, they're giving you certifications when you're done. Some of these courses are free. They offer them 24 hours for free. When you go in there, if you're paying for a premium subscription already, you have access to a lot of these education classes that you can. And who's not up for a little bit of self-education and again, building a better resume, especially when you're going into content creation, and especially when they start looking at this stuff later on. So, David, I'll message you the list of the 100 and ones that I actually know off of there. So I keep my ears to the ground on a lot of these things, because again, this is the platform that I love to perform on. I've been on all the other platforms. I know and understand what they are, but I like the investment that they're making here. So I'm going to invest my time here as well.
And it's the right audience.
Oh, for sure.
And David and Steve do some of the best promos I've ever seen on LinkedIn. So everybody check out the Community Association Car Chat. Anything else? Anything else that we want to talk about regarding content transformation and content creation? Carl, you and I really we met in trying to do content together have a stream together. And then I've noticed, at the beginning when we first started to talk with each other, you were doing your own content. Have you found a value with that when it comes to connecting and networking as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm building a brand, and as you might know, I was coached by Eleni Anastos that you guys have gotten to know very well. So getting on LinkedIn, publishing my own videos, content about my business was very, very important to me. And, and I want to build on that absolutely next year. There's so many other things that are getting digitized. I mean, I can get into the weeds and go crazy, but there's smart packaging, using NFC, blockchain, RFID, Drones are being used for cleaning in hazardous environments. You have robotic labs and other things going on, adaptive reality for training. Those might be, topics that, if I want to get into the weeds, that might be great. But, these are other things that are getting digitized, just doing training remotely or creating a video for a really complicated task. And that can be done now with augmented reality. It's already being done in the oil and gas. So just to build on what everyone else has said, this venue, the platform it's going to expand, it's going to grow, and I think it's going to be here for years to come. It's not going away. And one of the reasons I wanted to get involved in it is I saw that happening, and I definitely want to be part of it, either to grow my business or to support ChemQuest.
Well, we're ready for the Carl Davenport report.
Yes.
Yes.
Or we'll call it the Davenport report. Before we go through a round of everyone talking about their sites and social media and how to get in contact with you, I want to bring up a comment here that's a huge one. So let's see how much it takes up the screen here. This is from Sam Navarro. He couldn't join us tonight. He actually has a broadcast he's going to be starting called Be Local. He's going to really be talking about doing business with local companies, and I really he's in the Houston metro area, and man, talk about a diverse and huge metro when it comes to local businesses, both small, large, and medium sized. But he said he's sorry he couldn't join, and he talked a little bit about some of the predictions that he has. Is obviously we're going to have more variants here coming through, and then the supply chain shortages. He's saying February feels it's going to be the worst. Turmoil in the economy causing interest rates to spike. Unfortunately, another conflict. I know there's a thing going on right now between Russia and the Ukraine, and the most important one, Astros World Series win. So, Sam, I appreciate you posting that up and sharing that with everybody. So let's go ahead and we'll wrap things up. MJ, how do people get in touch with you, or how can they watch your live stream?
So they can connect with me here on LinkedIn. It's MJ Galloway. My live stream, Jim is my co-host, is every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to check in every Thursday at noon. And I want to give a shout out to Gabe for always putting us on that daily guide. So, and if you haven't subscribed to his LinkedIn live stream daily guide, you do want to do so. So giving him a plug there for that. And you can get a hold of me at MJ Calloway. You can see how it's spelled, like the golf, even though I'm not related, though I'd love for Callaway Golf to send me a new set of clubs.
That will be your first sponsor.
It would be awesome.
Carl, how can people check out your content and get in touch with you?
I spend most of my time on LinkedIn, and you can message me there. My website is projectmanagementinnovations.com. I'm also on Instagram, but really the best way is to message me on LinkedIn, and we can hook up and talk. It's great to be on this venue. Thanks so much for inviting me, and look forward for more to come in 2022.
2022. Mike Lamont.
Yeah, Mike Lamont. I'm on LinkedIn. You can message me there. And then I have a show with my wonderful co-host, Heidi Brooks, who couldn't make it. Energize, Tuesday mornings at 7 Central.
Bright and early. Russ.
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'd love to have you follow up on the Pirate Syndicate. I'm growing that out to help more productions take hold in the LinkedIn community. And also Russ Johns. I have a show on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 a.m. Arizona time, and also Wednesday at 5. So you can catch me there in the pirate community.
And then the site page, you still need more people to follow one of your pages to apply for
Yes.
links?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. The Pirate Syndicate. go to the Pirate Syndicate, and I'd love to have you follow and join the pirate community, because Gabe and I are going to be doing some amazing work there. So
Yeah.
got some
So
plans.
Excellent. Gabe, we'll end with you.
yeah, so we're working together to build out a lot of coursework. We're building up the Pirate Syndicate so that we can start building another level of education. Much like LinkedIn is investing in people wanting to learn how to do content creation and live streams, we're pushing the same agenda in 2022. So we're working, collaborating to give a lot of these people the opportunities to do this. So, and as you can hear my daughter in the background, but that's okay. But yes, but we're pushing towards that. And you can find me on LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn live stream group that if you're not part of, you can request to join. I add in there all the time. Join in, please. Working on the Pirate Syndicate page, and I'm also building out the HubSpot for the LinkedIn streams as well on a business page. And of course the newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, please do. It's such a useful resource. It shows up on your doorstep. You don't even have to go out there and look for it anymore. It just shows up there if you subscribe. And it's as easy as this. Look, if you see it here, watch this. It's as easy as this now. I've made it so that it can be so easy. As you see, whose show is that?
I do.
Bounce up.
Now watch this. Watch this, guys. One finger. I can just simply touch it. Here we go. Takes me straight to the replay. Or if it's the live event, it's already there live. So you don't even have to go to search for links. You don't have to do any of those things there. So if you want to go back and watch a replay, but you didn't get to catch it, you can go here, click on the link. It takes you straight back over there. And there you are, man. I've tried to make it a one-stop shop, easy place to go find live streams.
Excellent.
and just be a part of that. So that's the big push for me, is to kind of get that out there to as many eyes as possible, because that is just another free resource for a lot of content creators who are coming here on this platform. I don't charge for this. I'm looking for sponsors. I'm getting sponsors to kind of sponsor the page, because there's a lot of things that's going to be built out on it. But as far as like charging any money,
I think LinkedIn needs to sponsor
it. Yeah, I get that.
A lot of the creators who are coming on here,
money.
Yeah, a lot of these creators that are coming on here, I want to give them the same opportunity to level the playing field for whether or not you're an established creator or you're a newbie starting out and trying to build your voice. I feel that everybody's voice has the same volume, the same impact. So I'm pushing to get that done. 2022, that's a big one for me. And again, I implore anybody who's not connected, please do. All the stuff that I'm putting together and then working with Russ to get all this stuff out here is to help build not only a better platform, but build a better place for education for creators. So there you go. And as you can see, look, it's still playing. There's the replay. MJ, James, you guys were there. Yes. People can go back in there. I wanted to do that just simply because it makes it easier for all of us here to get the same exposure that we want. I think that's the point for me. I'll find all the other monetary stuff elsewhere that will come in, but for me, it's about getting the content creator the respect they deserve. So there you go. That's where you can find me at. Yeah,
those that are watching live and watching the replays are where it's really at. It seems like especially in the LinkedIn platform. Listen, if you really feel that you have a concept when it comes to content, take the leap. And Carl, I'm looking at you, sir. Take that leap. Become, look at live streaming. Look at putting, these broadcasts out there, because I'm just amazed with, and I shared this, I think, on Monday, where we did a thing. We did actually a live stream on mental health. We had a really good turnout in the mental health and the trades. And actually had somebody reach out to me saying, listen, because of your live stream, I went and I'm getting help now. I'm getting counseling. And that is, boy, that really motivates you. And it really shows to me, it's like, listen, what I'm doing is making an impact, not for me. It's making an impact for others that really find value in my content. And it also gave me opportunity to meet all of you and become even stronger, good friends and create a fellowship as well. So, if you are thinking about doing it, reach out to any of us, talk to us. we'll help you any way we can because we have a passion for this.
And I think that's one of the things that separates LinkedIn from other platforms is everyone's very positive, uplifting. Look at the support that we have here. I mean, it's just incredible. And other places, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. So what a great place to be.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for doing this, Jim. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
This
I'm
together.
so glad to have everyone on here, and I hopefully everyone gets a lot of value. For next week, I'm kind of tied up, so there will be some pre-recorded streams going out. So the content will be streamed next week, and then as we wrap up the end of the year, I'm going to be looking at focusing on my Wednesday stream and doing a best of, and going back at some of the great interviews that I had, and do the last 2 Wednesdays of the year here as a best of, and then getting into 2022, looking to rebrand and kind of re-energize. We'll still have from Mike and Heidi, but re-energize, especially the build out, the main stream, which is on Wednesdays at noon. And I'm so appreciative of all of you. Great year in 2021. I'm looking forward to a great, wonderful 2022. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jim.
You bet.
All right.
Take care.
Appreciate you, man.
See you, everybody.
All right.
Awesome.
Peace.